Turn to Tiffany Smiley here in New York, the veterans advocate, founder of Endeavor PAC, former Republican U.S. Senate candidate from Washington State. Always good to see you, Tiffany, when you're here in New York. Maybe just a quick reaction to what Alex is reporting on, and the use of the military or the National Guard has been controversial, as you know. What do you make of it and the expansion of it here in Chicago, perhaps?
Well, I mean, I think we need to go back and remember that President Trump was elected to shake things up and really do things differently for the American people and deliver results, whatever that might look like. The president is not expanding his powers in so much as he has the authority to do it. I mean, we can take Washington, D.C., for example, federalizing the police force there, bringing in the National Guard and actually cracking down on crime. And then you have a Democrat mayor saying it out of her own mouth that crime is down. So the president is protecting the American people and doing whatever is in his power to make sure that, we crack down on crime. Last I checked, I don't like crime.
Right. Well,
you don't like crime.
Well, it was interesting. Crystal Liza brought this up, that poll came out that 80+% of the people said that there's a problem with crime.
Yes.
It's the how now that we're getting into and having discussions and debates over. The president thinks this. Some people think it's too much to use the military. Right. But but no one, to your point, disagrees that crime is a problem.
Correct.
The discussion is what you do. And then to your point about presidential power, you know, for example, there's this Lisa Cook story now trying to fire the Fed governor. She's suing him. The CDC, let me play a clip here. This is from Caroline Leavitt at the briefing today. The CDC director pushed out. Looks like we might be getting some news this afternoon already. I'll get to that in a second. But here's what Leavitt said at the briefing on the CDC director's ouster and the back and forth over that.
Her lawyer's statement made it abundantly clear themselves that she was not aligned with the president's mission to make America healthy again. And the secretary asked her to resign. She said she would, and then she said she wouldn't. So the president fired her, which he has every right to do. The president has the authority to fire those who are not aligned with his mission. A new replacement will be announced by either the president or the secretary very soon.
What hasn't officially been announced yet, but there's a report, I'm just looking on the Washington Post, that Jim O'Neill, who's a deputy at HHS under Secretary Kennedy, is going to be the replacement, perhaps on an interim basis, but that they've already moved quickly to one of Bobby Kennedy's deputies. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, RFK Jr. is on a mission to make America healthy again, and has a mandate from the President of the United States. And the director of the CDC serves at the pleasure of the president. So if she is not aligning with his agenda, then he has every authority to fire her and get someone in that position that can carry out their agenda.
He did just appoint her a short time ago. He appointed her.
Right, but if she's not aligning or she's thwarting the agenda of pushing forward and making America healthy, I mean, there are real issues going on. 40% of adolescents and school-age children have at least one chronic illness. We've seen a massive spike in that. And so they're working aggressive and hard to carry out this agenda and start to get answers and deliver for the American people, make sure that our kids are healthy going into the future. And if the president feels like someone is not serving at his pleasure and his agenda and his policies, then he has every right to fire them and move on, or put someone in place that can help move and advance this forward.
Now, I wonder what the risk here is, just for regular people, because if though a lot was made when she was put in, by the way, that she was a medical doctor, I believe, and that kind of thing. So, but that said, she's a scientist with a background in science, and there are a lot of other people there that are scientists that left with her, that resigned, okay? So then you wonder, what's the risk in the short term to all of us? And if it's, you know, there might be some very, very innovative ideas, right, from Make America Healthy Again.
Right.
But there's some other controversial ideas that go against years and years of science. So you wonder, are we going to go too far in the other direction now, and what's the risk to the people? Yeah,
well, you know, maybe some of them in the CDC, it appears that they were sort of focused on, instead of following the science, they're following the political science.
You're talking about COVID?
In denying, and just denying President Trump's policies and their agenda to move forward. So if you're going to follow the political side of it, then yes, move on so they can actually get to work. RFK Jr. and President Trump are putting a commission together of doctors and experts who can tackle these issues head on and begin to break down and sort of, it is an aggressive plan, but something needs to be done. And the right people need to be in place. And I think the president understands that.
It's an interesting moment. I said earlier that the Fed, this could be a big moment. And I do think it could be long term, because, you know, the Fed was always, I've covered business news for years, looked upon as like this apolitical organization. So now you could say, well, maybe it never was. But you never knew really, unless you looked it up, who these Fed governors were and who appointed them. So, oh, that's an economist or somebody that's running. Now, Trump talks about it in a different way. He says, well, when we have a majority at the Fed, well, that's never been said before. And the same thing with medicine to some degree. This is a different way of doing it. The president hasn't come, then you may say it's a good way of doing it. But my point is that there's some risk associated with that too.
Well, the president's believed that he had the authority with the Fed's firing as well. The governor,
right. He needs cause. He says he has it.
He says he has it. I think it'll be shaken out in the courts, and we'll sit back and watch. And I think a president will be set once we get an answer.
Exactly, that's my point. So
yes.
this is all different. So that if she's out, and then other presidents can come in, and you say, well, only if there's cause. But if this is the cause, maybe other presidents find stuff that in the past was not looked at, and the question is stuff like that dangerous?
I don't think so. I think what has been dangerous for our country is playing politics with the American people. And President Trump, again, was elected in a landslide election to deliver results. Right. And he's actually, he's a president who says something and then he does it. And very rarely do you get that in politics. So he's actually standing up for the American people and delivering for his results. He believed he had the authority with the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, I believe, to fire the Fed
governor,
the governor of the Fed. So it's not like he's doing things completely out of bounds. It's just different.
Well, it's different even than what he did in his first term, I have to say. He was, because we talked about this with Geraldo a little bit, that he was talked out of a lot of stuff in his first term.
He's talked out of a lot of his stuff, and he's not doing that anymore.
Not at all.
He has, three and a half years now to get his agenda through, and his promises made and promises kept to the American people. So he's taking bold action.
Either that or it's just too many yes people around him. Too many,
Perhaps.
Nobody telling him no. I don't know if anybody tells him no anymore, and if that's the problem, or he's just not listening.
I think he has people around him who are smart and committed to the country. And look, change is hard. And doing things a different way, especially in the political system, is challenging. I have personal experience with that, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing for our country, especially when it benefits the American people.
Always welcome the discussion. I hope you come back next time you're in New York. It's always good to see you, Tiffany.
Yes,
Tiffany Smiley. So I'd say